Hey, welcome everybody. As you can see from my attire, I'm a Salah Madrasi, right? I'm sure for most of you in North, it doesn't make a difference if the guy is a Malayali or Kannadiga, Telangite or Tamilian, है ना? सब Salah Madrasi लोग हैं. So when I visited Delhi first, the first word I had to learn, of course, which is still useful, I'm not going to use the word now, but I'm going to give you the abbreviation, the jargon, MC and BC. Exactly. So since you've been here, has anybody taught you even one word of the local dialect? Yes? Anybody here? Sorry? What is the word? So I'm going to teach you a very simple word, okay? Very simple. It works all the time. And the word is, how do you say, how you doing? So go with me. Sugam ano. So, how are you doing? Sugamano. Sugamano, yes. What do you respond back? Hey. Addi polli. Sorry? Addi polli. Anybody asks you anything, all you need to say is, how's the food? Addi polli. How's the event? Addi polli. Matlab mast hai bhai. Cool? Hey, I know it's been a long 2 days. I'm going to keep it really short and light. Given I get to speak in a lot of security events, I thought I'd make it a bit lighter, which we get to after almost spending 20, 25 years in the industry, right? And the topic of my discussion really is very serious. It's about cybersecurity and blah, 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 which we've been hearing for the last day and a half. And clearly, I think representing SentinelOne, as we look back from our own lessons, managing customers' threat, consoles, managing incident response, and the threat hunting that we do for customers, we've clearly understood there are reasons that are not going to go away, right? And I think I'm not going to read through these, but you can clearly see them that ransomwares are not slowing down. Yeah, you agree that? As of last 48 hours, I've had 2 CISOs reach out to me from Bombay who have been under attack. So the reality is, how much of we kid about this topic, they are still happening, right? They're happening because clearly, we think we fixed the problem, right? So we hear the operating system, vendors, they talk about, hey, this particular operating system is great, that particular operating system is not that great. The clear answer is none of them are great, right? Clearly, when they were writing the operating system, they were not worried about cybersecurity. They were focused on, what do you think they're focused on? Productivity, right? Agility, speed of change. They don't give a shit about cybersecurity. Of course, now they got to figure out, oh my God, I got this big software going in, what do I do about it, right? There are fancy names, and I call these things jargons because when I joined this industry in 97, 98, we had different names. I love you, Nimda, Nimbuda, shit like that, right? It's changed now, right? We've got very fancy names because I think a lot of marketing people like Shankar from SentinelOne, they spend a lot of energy and money coming up with fancy names. They like fancy titles, right? And there are more jargons, right? And I call them jargons because I think as CISOs, if you spend at least 1 decade, if not 2, these things come and go. The reality is things never change, right? They're similar, but they don't change, right? Clearly, we believe that the world today, the country today needs an approach that cannot have worked in the last 5, 10, 20 years. You agree? Cool? All right, so there are approaches people take to solve the problem. What do you think these kids are doing here? They're playing what we call in Delhi. You heard of Pittu? Yeah. I don't know what's the Malayalam name for this. I can't get it, but it's Pittu, right? Lagori. Yeah, there you go. This is what the big firewall company, the big networking company, I think the speaker after me, are doing right now with your technology, right? They're trying to go and buy stones, companies, startups, and trying to put them together saying, oh my God, this is the best solution stack we ever have in this world. This is the solution stack. This is a single reason why security sucks even now in those large companies. Because if they could have fixed this problem, everybody had a chance to fix the problem 10, 15 years back. Do you agree? There were companies who bought a lot of stones, startups, put them together and said, look at the stack, it's the best stack in the world, I got everything for you. What happened? They got hacked. Clearly this shit doesn't work anymore, right? Of course, there's another example. All of you here, I'm sure you have been in IT at some point. Switch, router, firewall. I'm sure you know what a switch is, right? You know what a firewall does? When you get actually ransomware, when you get into a breach on a Friday evening, what do you think your first reaction is going to be? Are you going to call the guy who sold you the router? Anybody? No? Anybody who's going to call the switching guy? Anybody who's going to call the firewall dude? The guy who sold the firewall, the next generation firewall. Are you going to call him and say, boss, I got encrypted? My machines are all stuck. You think so? He's going to answer your call? No. Can he help you, in fact, even if he did answer the call? Answer is no. I think Nitin spoke about it yesterday very nicely about the whole siloed approach, right? This is the problem with cybersecurity, right? And I think having been in this industry for a long time, I can tell you this problem is not going to go away. But the problem is, eventually after a breach, it all comes down to one particular software. What is that? What is that? Who do you think you're going to call when you get breached? You call your CISO, of course, and CISO calls whom? The endpoint security software vendor, right? You agree, Nitin? You think they're going to call the big operating system vendor? No, he will not. Even though the encrypted machine belongs to an operating system that today you're working with, but he cannot support you because they don't have the capability to support you. That's the tech I'm talking about, right? Clearly, we are in times of recession. I was in the US last year for a couple of months finishing my MBA schooling program. The recession is already there in a way, right? Budget's already cut. It's happening here. With these things under pressure, how do you think you're going to survive this industry? Clearly, throwing people after the problem is not going to solve. I think that's a summary of the message that I want to leave out here. I want to spare you a lot of details right now, looking at how tired you look after 1.5 days of bhashan. But what we believe is the time has come to change the way we approach the cybersecurity problem. It has all got to be about being autonomous. What does autonomous mean? Not some fancy English word that people have come up with, marketing people, but something you can demonstrate, which clearly means that none of S1's customers have ever been having a challenge across any of these next generation malwares, right? For over 10,000 plus customers. And clearly it's about using technology that is completely autonomous, which also means it's automated, it works at scale, it gives you things that you cannot depend on a typical operating system vendor, networking vendor, or any other piece of software that you're already using, which are pretty much outdated, right? And of course, that particular software today does not just stop at providing you the best of VPP and EDR. Gartner already called that out, right? MITRE, we have proved at MITRE that this software protecting your endpoint, servers, containers are much better than anybody else's. But it's also taking it beyond EDR to what we call the fancy word of XDR, right? And we are talking about not just any plain vanilla XDR sold by a firewall company or by an operating system company, but something that's completely automated, zero touch, right? And that end, XDR primarily takes inputs not just from our own softwares and our own logs, right, from what we see with the endpoint, containers, cloud, cubes, and servers, but also from third party, which means that you don't have to pay extra again, right? You get a better return on investment, better TCO with what you already have. And that architecture covers not just endpoint, it covers your cloud, it covers your identity, which is today the most sought after. I'm sure Nitin would have talked about identity being a very important piece in cybersecurity. It is the most super important piece right now. How do you protect them, right? And of course, taking that on and beyond technology, but also into the whole incident response and MDR services. I'm not going to get into this slide in detail because I think you had enough of Gyan session, but clearly the message is you have one single platform, one single console, one piece of software script that helps you scale from one single endpoint all the way to everything that you want to get done. Cool? We are still the fastest company in the world, growing. We were a unicorn. Before we went IPO, we had the biggest IPO for a tech company in the world. We're still growing like crazy. We've got 10,000 plus customers in this turbulent world today. Clearly, in India, we have been on a fast growth path. The best news is that our technology is built not just for the cloud-based consumers, but also a lot of on-prem users in India. Banking, government, right? Defense. SentinelOne is an Israeli technology born in Israeli defense. It has a completely on-prem software version of what we can do to help deliver the same efficacy that we deliver on the cloud. And then if you're not sure between cloud and on-prem, we can also do hybrid. And guess what? Keeping in requirement data sovereignty of India, we are also launching our own India cloud that's currently being provisioned on AWS. So next month, you can trigger storing data either in Singapore, Australia, in US, or in our own India. Cool? Sounds good? Yeah? I'm sure many of you took a flight in here. How many of you flew Indigo? How many of you flew out of Bangalore airport? How many of you have Aadhaar cards? All three are touched by SentinelOne in security, so it's a great news. Yeah, so you already know who we are. Of course, Gartner called out the Gartner, Magic Quadrant last, I think 2 weeks back, was it Shankar? And we are again the #1 vendor in terms of growth, in terms of speed, and more importantly, how we are positioned. I'm not going to go into it, but most important is this aspect. As a customer, who are you, right? What's your profile? Are you customer A, which is primarily somebody who is a lean forward organizations? Are you customer B, who lies in the majority, where you look at primarily, preferring to go with a proven technology over a period of time? Or your customer C, are you somebody that waits for everybody else to go first? Whoever you are, SentinelOne use cases ranked #1 by Gartner for all of them. So we have an answer and solution for you, no matter where you are in your learning curve in terms of adoption of cybersecurity technology. That's the message here. Clearly, I think the message I want to leave behind is what my best friend CISOs who I've known for 10, 15 years have told me. When I use SentinelOne, Diwakar, the difference between using SentinelOne and anybody else is this. कि भाई मेरे को थोड़ा सा सुकून मिलता है शाम को कि जब मैं घर जाता हूँ ना ऑफिस से थका हुआ फ्राइडे को मेरे को दोबारा से ऑफिस ना जाना पड़े. You know what it means? It means a big deal. It basically means that when you use SentinelOne, you have peace of mind and good sleep at night because you know that you're protected by the best technology in the world today. I'm going to give you some time back. It's 3 minutes left so that you can get another additional 2.5 minute break. So thank you so much for being a patient audience and look forward to seeing you outside once the session is over.